Hey guys, welcome back to part 4. So I'm going to start. There's two things I want to do before I start anything. Is I'm going to drain the bleed the pressure to the fuel lines right there using that Schrader valve, and then set it to top dead center as I talked about. It's 180 degrees out at the moment, so I'll give it another crank and make it TDC on cylinder 1 here, and then I will, after that, remove the distributor. I'm going to go ahead and mark it too, so I'll take the cap off and then I'll mark the position of the distributor when I go to remove it, so that we can make sure everything lines up perfectly for when we put it all back together. So when you go to bleed the Schrader valve, what you want to do is, I don't know if I'm actually using too long of a screwdriver here. Let's see if I can get this one in here. It's probably too big. Yeah, we have to get a different one. Anyway, I'll get a shorter screwdriver. I put some paper towels down there because it will obviously let some fuel go. But once we get that bled, what we'll do is pull those other parts, and then I'll show you the next step there. So keep in mind, you might be saying to yourself at this point, I'm not even sure what a bad gasket looks like. Like, I had actually never seen a bad gasket before I went to do this for my own truck. Intake manifold, by the way. So let me show you what a bad gasket looks like. You'll notice all around this gasket on both sides, there are areas where the rubber is separated, deteriorated, absent, blown away from its normal formation, right? There's one, there's a really bad one right there at the top of that, right? But let's go a little bit deeper, and you'll notice the back of it is actually almost entirely missing. So all of this is area where the coolant and the oil can mix together and create this terrible problem for myself. Other side looks pretty bad too. Look at this, right? So this is a really, really bad pair of intake manifold gaskets. So those are bad. There's a chance actually that the heads might not even be that bad, but since we're here, we're going all the way in. There's no turning back at this point. So we're going to go ahead and take the heads off in just a moment. I have the intake manifold gaskets as well, so I'm going to replace these. We're going to clean the heads off, we're going to clean the valve covers off, but in the next step, what I'm going to do is take out the rockers and the push rods. What I want to show you real quick before I do that is I created a box for it. So it's essential that when these come out, the rockers and push rods go in the same place they came out of. So I've got just an Amazon box labeled front, rear, passenger, driver, and then the cylinders, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? And you'll notice there's 2 holes for each one. So what I'm gonna do is, as I take them out, I'll put the push rod in the hole, put the rocker on top of it, push rod in the hole, rocker on top of it. And this way, when I go to reassemble, the number 1 intake rocker and push rod goes exactly into the number 1 intake and push rod place, spot, whatever, as it came out. Right? The reason for this is because there's going to be subtle variations in the length of the push rod and the way it's rounded and shaped and blah, blah, blah. It's essential they go back this way. So in just a moment, I'm going to start pulling them, and I will fill this box up with 12 rockers and push rods. And then we're going to pull these heads, man. Okay, sports fans, we got one. Here's the driver's side head. Right? I left the spark plugs in because actually they're really hard to get to. Actually, that one's loose. Oh, I guess I loosened that one. That's right. I tried to get them out and they were a pain in the ass. So I left them in. Temperature sensor like this. Here's the back of it. And it actually looks really good as far as heads go. You know, you can still see there's some debris from the head gasket. That's the head gasket. And granted, when I went to pull it off, it did distort and everything like that, but it looked like it pretty much had it. So this is probably a good choice. I know it's a good choice because it totally needed it. But what I'm going to do is just kind of clean all of this material off so we get a good mating surface. What's nice is actually the outside of the head looks really good, like really nice and clean. So it didn't look like it was leaking up high. Oh, hold on. Sorry, I kicked the box that I made. So here's all the valves and the rockers, or not valves, the rockers and the push rods from that side. So as I said, driver's bank. Here's the push rods, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Rockers with their studs like this, or bolts, I guess, not studs, and all in order. This way, when they go back in, they can go back in the exact order they came out. And then here's the rocker bar like this that they mount on. I've got everything lined up for the passenger side here too. So as I said, it's paramount that these go back in place where they came from. So I made this here. that's out. And just want to show you real quick here too. If you look, as I said before, cylinder one is right there at TDC. So you'll notice the face of the cylinder is right at the very apex of the block, right? So we want it there, as I said before, because that's going to help us make sure we keep everything in time when we go to reassemble. So make sure you do it that way. The headers are still in there, but they're completely unbolted, so I'm about to rip that one out. And then I'll move on to the passenger side. What I'll do is I'll show you what it all looks like taken out, and then we will prepare for reassembly, which will start first thing in the morning. I'm stoked. There's been a lot of work to get here. Let me go ahead and throw a point out there. There's a grounding strap in the back of this cylinder head, and there is also a bracket that holds these fuel lines. There's two fuel lines, and then this, I think it's an evap line, in place. So you got to get both those out of there, and those are two of the hardest things I've ever done in my entire life. I have a PhD, I wrote a dissertation. These are harder. Just throwing it out there. Okay, there are actually two on the back of the passenger side here too, 1 and 2. Those need to come out as well to get out of there. But as I said, look at these gaskets. This engine needed it. So yeah, we'll move on. I'll show you what it looks like when we get the other bank out. Okay, you guys ready for this? I don't think you're ready for this. There it is. Nothing but the block really left. I mean, ancillary stuff, but there it is. So both banks, both heads removed. I guess not banks, those are the banks of cylinders, but both heads removed. As I said, both heads had a grounding strap on either one and then a bracket attached to it. So make sure you get to those before you yank it, because those lines, if you yank them when you pull this, you could pinch them and then you're really SOL. So yeah, as I said, it went as well as I could have thought. I imagine at this point I'm probably about 8 to 10 hours deep in the project. And this is the halfway, well, technically halfway. At this point it's rebuilding, so I think actually rebuilding will go faster than taking apart, he says with no confidence. Anyway, so yeah, we'll, as we finish this one up, I'm going to go ahead and, to start out with the next one, I'm going to clean off the heads, or rather, excuse me, the block, the mating surface right there. I'm going to give it a good clean with something, probably some red Scotch-Brite or something like that. Nothing too abrasive, because I don't want to take any material off. I just literally want to clean it. I'll hit it with some shop air, like that. I will also go over and clean both the mating surfaces on the heads as well. So give them a quick once over with the Scotch-Brite too. They actually are they're really not that bad. While I've got them out, actually I'm gonna go ahead and make sure that the spark plugs are appropriately tightened and everything, because might as well. I've got all of the gaskets that I need. I'm actually gonna replace the head gasket, or excuse me, valve cover gaskets. So these are the ones that are in there. I don't believe they were leaking, but while I'm in here, might as well. The kit that I bought comes with them, so out they go. I'll give everything a good clean. This is the pile of tools I've used to get to where I am, but I guess most importantly, this is what I wanted to show you guys. So as I said, rocker arms, push rods in place for both banks like this. So they'll go out, they're out obviously. When we go to reinstall everything, I'll do one head at a time, obviously, but what I'm gonna do is put them in. I will start to tighten the rockers, kind of to set the lash, and then I'll turn the engine over about 180 degrees, and then go back and retighten and make sure everything is appropriately tightened without, obviously bending them or anything like that. So that'll be that next step. Oh, there's the intake manifold here too. I've got the gaskets for that. I actually, now that I'm this deep in the project, I actually think it wasn't the head gaskets. I mean, they look bad and they could be replaced because they're 24 years old, right? So that's fine. But I actually think it was the intake manifold gaskets that failed, because when I pulled them off, basically they disintegrated. I mean, like they were almost completely gone. And that would be a place where oil and water, or oil and coolant, could emerge and get into the engine. So I mean, that actually might have been the source of it. It doesn't matter, because this is good maintenance and whatever. So I'm replacing all the gaskets from there on up. The set I've got actually has main seal, I mean, like everything in there. I'm gonna do everything that I've taken off so far. So everything's got new gaskets, including, like, for example, like the water neck, like that, new gasket there. But then probably for a later project, when I've regained my sanity and it's not quite so warm here in Texas, I'll do the main seal at some point too, because, I'm a glutton for punishment. Anyway, thank you for following to this point. As I said, we'll reassemble starting tomorrow, and that'll include the gaskets and everything like that. And then the headers too, which I don't know if I got a chance to show you, but this is what they look like. This is the driver's side. It's actually got everything that we need. So there's where the secondary air injection goes in here. This is the EGR pipe that goes back to the intake manifold, right? So it's actually really nice. I mean, look at how thick that flange is. It's really a nice piece. So this is just a protective coating. This will burn off. This isn't like powder coated or anything like that, so I don't care, it's fine. But by comparison, so there's the old ones, or new one rather, and there's the driver's side old one, right? And these log style manifolds, which aren't terrible. I mean, they lasted fine and they don't seem to have leaked at all, which is brilliant, but they weigh a ton and they're just not very performance oriented. So hopefully the new ones will actually add a little bit of depth to the sound, hopefully let the engine breathe a little bit better, maybe produce a little bit more power, maybe produce a little bit more MPG. I don't have extremely high hopes for that, but that's the idea. So anyway, as I said, thanks for following, guys, and I'll start part, I don't know, 5 tomorrow.